The G7 Ministerial Summit being the final one before the inauguration of President Donald Trump in the United States and all of the turbulent developments that are to be waited for and anticipated after that. The Middle East is certainly among the chief crises that is being discussed, or that has been discussed in the G7 ministerial meeting in Italy this year. And the prospects of a ceasefire in Gaza and Lebanon have been tackled thoroughly. And of course, the presence of the Secretary General of the Arab League and the Egyptian Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Jordanian Minister of Foreign Affairs are an indication of how keen the parties are, or the G7 members are, to attain some sort of lull or settlement, or peaceful settlement, or a ceasefire in the Middle East. In Gaza, I have no expectations whatsoever that we will reach any ceasefire soon. However, in Lebanon, member countries of the G7, like the United States and France and Great Britain, are great components or strong components of the negotiated settlement that is being discussed right now, and we might have a temporary ceasefire, at least within a few hours, in Lebanon. And I think that the G7 meeting, with the significant Arab presence in the two major Arab countries and the Arab League itself, will serve as a proponent that will push forward the ceasefire proposal. However, for Gaza, I do not have any expectations that a breakthrough will be accomplished in this regard. Especially that
you're not optimistic about Gaza, sir.
Yes, definitely not. I do not see a ceasefire happening in Gaza anytime soon, at least not before the beginning of next year with the inauguration of Donald Trump. However, in Lebanon, the situation is different. Israel has managed to accomplish certain goals through their criminal endeavors in Lebanon, and they can at least market these goals as some sort of success or some sort of victory, especially with the concessions that Hezbollah will give Israel, that will be beyond Resolution 1701. So this basically will give Israel enough leverage. However, of course, we cannot treat a ceasefire in Lebanon as a fait accompli. Many things could happen in these few hours. The Israelis are not to be trusted, and
of course,
they can turn the table, and the war might continue in Lebanon.
Sir, what are the implications of the International Criminal Court's decisions regarding the arrest warrant for Benjamin Netanyahu? Diplomatic decision, sir.
It is definitely the ICC warrant against Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and former Minister of Defense Yoav Gallant is definitely a huge blow to the moral image of the state of Israel, and not only the Israeli government or the person of Netanyahu or Gallant. So the arrest warrant definitely has put many of Israel's allies in a very embarrassing situation. 124 countries have ratified the Rome Statute, thus they are members of the International Criminal Court. And now Netanyahu might be arrested or prevented from entry in 124 countries out of 193 countries in the world. And what's even more painful for Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, that several of Israel's allies, including G7 members like France, for example, have, or even Britain, have stressed, and they are supporters of Israel's war efforts, they stressed that they will have to comply with the arrest warrant in accordance.
And he criticized them, sir.
Of course, the Israelis criticized them. They accused them of treason. Further, Lindsey Graham, a prominent senior Republican senator, even threatened of countries that will comply with the ICC arrest warrant. Of course, we will not see an arrest of Netanyahu anytime soon, and this probably will never happen. But it is still a huge moral blow and a political defeat to the Israeli establishment in general, and it places Israel in a very embarrassing situation. However, its impact does not go beyond that, and it even has caused discord inside the G7. For example, Italy at first said they might comply with the arrest warrant, and they are an ICC member, and then they said no, the G7 has to come together to a conclusive or a collective agreement on how to deal with the ICC warrant. So that means that Italy is proposing doing international law against the wall and trying to politically deal with a judicial order of arrest. So this is quite ridiculous, to be honest. And why the Prime Minister of Italy, Mrs. Meloni, entertains that find a loophole from which Italy cannot, that Italy may not arrest Mr. Netanyahu, especially that the United States, of course, will not comply because it's not a member of the ICC, and they went out and they are even threatening the ICC itself with sanctions, and they have imposed sanctions of the ICC before during Trump's previous administration.
Sir.
And probably with Trump's new administration, we will see even further sanctions on the ICC, which will hamper the credibility and the viability of the international
Sir, how do you read the situation on the Donald Trump's presidency?
Well, as I said, Donald Trump is expected to be much more supportive of Israel, but unconditionally, unlike the administration of President Joe Biden. To lend support to the state of Israel on the political and the military level, unfortunately. So this will further embolden Israeli impunity, and immunity from accountability, trying to offer to Mr. Netanyahu and the Israeli government, and through threatening an international organization, an international court like the ICC. So the ICC is, at the end of the day, an international court, and the provisions of the Rome Statute are obligatory to all the countries that have ratified it, at least. So trying to destroy that and dismantle that, and not for the first time, Donald Trump previously threatened to place sanctions and even arrest ICC judges during his previous administration when it was entertained that they might open investigations against U.S. and Afghanistan, because Afghanistan is a member of the ICC. So you can imagine how Donald Trump would deal with it when it comes to Israel.